Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite fragrances for women. This is kind of like an all-time list, but I noticed that my fragrances change from year to year, so let's say my favorite women's fragrances that I was loving in 2020. Before we get started, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. So at number 5 we have Hypnotic Poison by Dior. This was a fragrance that I discovered at the beginning of my fragrance training, so like 2016, but I believe it was released either in the late 90s or the early 2000s. So it's been on the market for quite a while, and it's Dior Hypnotic Poison, and it's really interesting vanilla with bitter almond. It comes in this beautiful red apple bottle, which is kind of nice just to have something pretty on your dresser as well. And it's a vanilla, but I've noticed a lot of vanillas right now on the market, they don't last very long, and it's usually vanilla and a lot of fruit. And I find this to have some floral aspects and that bitter almond mixed in with the vanilla, but it's much more of a true vanilla than other things and more recent releases that I've been smelling. But I know that at least me, when I was more into designer fragrances, and everything on this list, I should say, these are my favorite designer fragrances. I wasn't so willing to explore older fragrances because a lot of them smell dated, and that's not the case with Hypnotic Poison. It did come out, like 20 years ago, but it smells like it could have come out today. It's definitely not going to be something where your boyfriend says you smell like his mom or his grandma. And yeah, I feel like there's nothing wrong with this fragrance. It's like kind of perfect. The only reason that it's not higher on my list is just because recently I've been moving away a bit from vanillas, which used to be my all-time favorite category, but it's definitely one of the best designer vanillas out there. Next on my list is Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana, and I'm specifically talking about the Eau de Toilette. There are a lot of flankers to this one, but they don't work on my skin, even if they work on paper. There is the Intense, which I really loved on paper, but it just did something funny on my skin. And so this fragrance starts off with a lemon, and then you have a crisp apple, and then a beautiful amber. And it's really one of the first fruity florals that we kind of have out there. That we see, because this was also released in the early 2000s and again smells so timeless. Guys really love this fragrance when you wear it, if that's something that's important to you. And for something that's like a glowy citrus, incredible longevity, even if you're not getting the intense version. So also really, really nice if you like fresher fragrances but aren't very happy about how long they've been lasting on you. The next fragrance on this list is Good Girl by Carolina Herrera. It was kind of hard for me to find a super new release that I loved. And I think it's because I can be a little bit of a niche snob. I'm a little bit biased towards my fragrances. I don't always love super sweet fragrances. But Good Girl by Carolina Herrera, I'm not gonna lie to you, it is sweet, but it's so good and so addictive that you don't care. Because it's really well balanced. And so I think sometimes people say they don't like sweet fragrances, but a lot of times that sweetness is really pleasant in a really well balanced fragrance. The perfumer behind this fragrance is Louise Turner. She also did some favorites of mine like Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. And the only reason that that's not on this list is because I wanted to keep this like super designer, and Tom Ford really straddles a line between niche and designer, but if I was including Tom Ford, Lost Cherry would be kind of in this same slot next to Good Girl by Carolina Herrera. Both really incredible fragrances by the same perfumer, very different fragrances. So Good Girl is very complex. If you look at the note list, I mean, you say a note, it's in there. There is bitter almond, there is rose, there is orange blossom, there is lavender, there is vanilla, there is, it's everything is in this fragrance. And so if you do like really complex fragrances, this could also work for you too, but it is quite linear, even if the note list is very complex. But really good. There's something in it that I love that's super addictive. But I would say it's like a sweet, vanillic, floral, girly, sweet scent. And so if that's something that's up your alley, this is going to be right there. Lost Cherry, on the other hand, is like a true almond cherry fragrance. Like really soft, really sensual, kind of cozy, does really good in cold weather. My only qualm with this fragrance is I wish it lasted longer, but it's so, so good and definitely worth a smell. Now we're getting close to number one, but second on this list is Prada Candy, which I find to be a modern masterpiece. Just the fact that you can make a fragrance smell like candy but also be one of the classiest fragrances I've smelled in the past decade is a small miracle to me. It's so beautiful. It's sweet, it's vanilla, it's musk, it's almond. I think there's a touch of heliotrope powderiness and vanilla and caramel, but so refined and so elegant. Daniela Andre is the perfumer behind this fragrance and truly just a master at her craft. To do something so interesting and again outside the realm of niche, you know, when you think candy, you would think there's so many other releases coming out that are like a little sickly and a little sweet and a little bit too much, and you know, this has just the right touch where it still fits this idea of candy while being so refined. You're not getting a sugar floss, you're getting the most elegant candy out there. It has pretty good sillage, projection, longevity. One of my favorite designer releases of all time. And again, if this video had been filmed like 2 years ago, it probably would be number one on my list, but then Narciso Rodriguez Pure Musk for Her came out, and that has stolen my heart now, like the past 2 years that it's been out. It's incredible. It's this beautiful muguet, musky muguet. It's floral and fresh without smelling like laundry, and a lot of times with musky fragrances they smell like laundry, which is great. You know, we all love a clean tea, clean sheets, all that, but I love this new direction for musk. It feels so protective and warm and sensual. If you don't like smelling like perfumey, I think this is a great fragrance for that as well. It blends beautifully on skin and has such good projection. I know I'm someone that, even if I don't want like everyone in the room to smell me, I definitely want someone to smell me if like I'm standing there talking to them, and you get that with this fragrance. And it also has a strong signature, which is something that is definitely lacking. Every fragrance that I've mentioned in this list has a strong signature, and that's rare to find in modern releases. And that's also why Good Girl was on this list, because it found a way to do that while staying in the genre that we kind of see a lot in modern releases. It found a way to put a twist on that and make it unique. Narciso Rodriguez Pure Musk for Her is not sweet like the other new releases. It's much more like true floral musk. I wouldn't describe it as a sweet scent. But again, it still has this beautiful signature. It still finds a way to be incredibly feminine and incredibly attractive. And I know there's a couple of new flankers coming out of it, and I can't wait to smell them. Flankers are definitely something that I didn't care for at all at the beginning, and the deeper I dive, the more interesting I've been finding them. And I feel like as a fragrance community, we have been sleeping on flankers. But I really hope you all enjoyed my list today. And I'm really curious to know what your favorite fragrances were this year, your favorite designer fragrances were, even if they didn't come out this year, just like what you were wearing a lot, what you discovered this year, you know, 2020, the past year. And let me know. Have a lovely day, everyone.